All right, let's jump in. I'm going to share my screen here. And today we are talking about leveraging AI for organizational effectiveness, particularly for nonprofits. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. If not, please let me know in the chat. All right, just a little bit about me. If we've not had the pleasure of meeting before, I am a DEIB consultant. I do have a for-profit, but my client base are nonprofits. I've also had some time leading a nonprofit, Create Opportunity, and I am the chair of the REN Board of Directors, and I just got elected vice chair of Able SC Board of Directors. So I'm a part of this nonprofit world with you all. Just a few things. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I acknowledge that the territory on which I live was once occupied by the Catawba, the Congaree, and the Cherokee. And I am a plus size Black woman with short Black hair. So, our objectives today are to understand AI fundamentals, to be able to immediately identify 2 to 3 apps that you can be using for your organization, to learn how to implement these tools with minimal resources, and then to develop an action plan to integrate this into your operations. So, today's most powerful tools for social impact are not just for tech giants or well-funded organizations. They're becoming accessible to organizations of all sizes. Here's my promise to you. My promise is that by the end of this hour, you'll have concrete ways to implement AI in your organization, regardless of your technical expertise or budget. So, y'all hold me to that and let me know if I don't come on that, make do on that promise. So let's take a look at AI's role in nonprofits. And there was this, I was at a dinner a few weeks ago and we were with nonprofit leaders and we were talking about AI. And one of the things that came out that I really held on to was that AI can help you do the work that excites you. We know that in your role, you're probably doing 55 things, right? But there's 3 things that really excite you. And that's the reason why you got into the nonprofit space. Well, AI can help with those other things that maybe don't light you up as much and can really help you focus on the mission and on the work. Well, how does it do that? It can help you automate routine tasks. It can help you extend your resources. It can help you create a personalized experience, and it can help you analyze program data. So I will tell you, I use AI every day, and I'll talk some more through that as we go through this presentation. But it's definitely not something to be nervous about or scared of. So I want to start with a little poll, and let's see where we are as a group. If you can tell me on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your organization's current use of AI? 1 would be we're not using anything, and 5 would be we are superstars. I've got a 2, 3, 2, 3. Yep. Okay. So we're right in that middle section where we're using something, but we're using like for basic purposes, and we may be experimenting. So that's great. I love that that's where you are. So let's look at the definition. Just the plain definition of AI is that it is a computer system that performs tasks that typically require human intelligence, like understanding language, looking at patterns, making recommendations, generating content. What we have to remember is that you only get out what you put in. So if I put in a question, I'm going to get a response, an answer to that question. It's not going to give me any more. It's not going to give me any less. It's very straightforward. Now, AI is not here to replace humans, but more so to augment what we can do. And it doesn't think like a human. It's just identifying patterns in data. Again, we talked about this. AI is not just for data scientists, but really for anyone. So let's look at the four types of most relevant AI for all of you. First is natural language processing. And this is AI that understands and generates human language. So this is something like you're creating something in Canva. You are summarizing a document. You're personalizing donor messages. You're using it to help you write grants. So natural language processing, that's really about how are we understanding and generating language. The next type of AI is predictive analytics. And that is AI that identifies patterns to make predictions. So that could be something like donor retention forecasting, program outcome prediction, or even like a community needs assessment. The next type of AI is computer vision. And this is AI that can interpret and process visual information. So these are your accessibility tools, your event engagement analysis tools, your field data collection tools. And then finally, we have generative AI. And I would say between natural language processing, which that is like a chat GPT, and generative AI, those are the most used types of AI. So generative AI is AI that creates new content like text, images, or designs. So creating marketing materials, translating program materials, developing educational content. Even now, I know if you all are on social media, you have probably seen everyone doing like themselves as dolls, or this is what I look like as a Simpson, right? That's generative AI. So I want to talk a little bit about how AI is transforming the nonprofit sector. First, again, we talked about this efficiency. Small teams can accomplish more, especially if you are automating your workflows. Transforming accessibility, making services available to more diverse populations. So for example, using AI for real-time translation. I mean, let's think about when I started my career, I was doing customer service. And if I had someone that did not have English as their first language, I had to call the language line, right? I had to tell them what language I needed. And then now you don't have to do all of that, right? Now we can be using on-demand AI tools to help us with that. It can help transform the way we measure the impact that we have. So, looking at the outcomes, what another thing I like to do. So, for example, let's say that you are doing a community survey or a donor survey, and you're getting both quantitative and qualitative data. What I've done in the past is I have put in the qualitative data into AI, and I've asked them to give me the top 3 themes. Whereas before, that would take me days to do because I'm looking through things, right? I recently worked with an organization that has 300 employees, and we did an engagement survey. And I popped that data into AI, and within seconds, it gave me the top trends. And so then I was able to show the impact, right? And I was more efficient. And then finally, you can also transform the way you're allocating resources. So, looking at predictive models so that, are our resources going to the right place according to who we think needs them the most? So let's take a deeper look at some use cases for you all specifically. So if we think about document processing and summarization, so I'm surprised that no one, or maybe we didn't allow it, when you get on calls and people have their AI note taker come into the call, right? That's this. It's processing, it's summarizing, things like Otter. Um, that's what those are for. Then you can also be using AI for automated reporting or grant writing assistance. We heard a couple of weeks ago that people are using AI to generate a first draft of their grant. and then they're going in and they're revising it and tightening it up, but it gives you a great foundation. You can be using AI for personalized communications. So looking at, how can you tailor donor emails based on their interest and giving history? Can you do some thank you notes that show a specific impact? We talked about predictive analytics. Let's take a deeper look at that. So identifying potential major donors, predicting their risk of churn, optimizing when we request, how much we request. So being able to pop this information in, this historical information in and get this information. Somebody tell me in the chat, someone who works with fundraising, how long would it take you to perhaps find or identify potential major donors? What does that process look like? You can put it in the chat or unmute. Okay, that's fine if we don't have anyone here. But I will tell you that AI, okay, thank you, T. Weeks to identify. Chat GPT can do, or AI can do that for you in minutes. So just imagine what you can be doing with all of that extra time. Let's look at program delivery and impact management. So data analysis for program effectiveness. You can be automating reporting. If you are a nonprofit that has a lot of, that you do a lot of customer service, people calling in, you can be using chatbots, even if that's just to gather initial data before your person picks up the phone. I was working with now this is a for-profit, but a friend of mine owns a large campground, and they have people come for the weekends and camp out. And so he built chatbots. So if people call and have questions, he created a script based on what the questions were. And so that then freed him up to do the things that he likes at the campground instead of having to be on his phone all the time. How about community engagement? We talked about that, real-time translation, or even translating content into the languages that we need. Accessibility is a huge one. Zoom, I actually I'm hard of hearing in my left ear, and so I always use captions, whether it's on a presentation, whether it's TV. I just used captions for the first time in the movies last week, and it was really cool. And so this is so important to me, right? But automatically captioning your videos so you don't have to go through and do it, right? Text to speech, so many ways that we can be using AI, um, beyond, I think, just asking Chat GPT to make us into a Barbie character, right? So here are some key questions that you want to consider. What specific problems could AI solve? And I'm going to say this again later, but you start with the problem first, not the technology. So identifying what are the problems in our organization? Is it capacity? Is it timeliness? Is it we have so much we can't get it done in time? Right? What are those problems? What data do you have that can be leveraged? And what skills exist within your team that we may possibly need to accompany? Do you have a budget for this? So as we're going through, I'm going to be talking about certain tools. And we're going to talk about both free and paid tools. So again, there are free versions and then there are paid, but do you have a budget for this? And then what does success look like? Somebody tell me in the chat. I'm sorry, I should have said this earlier. I love being interactive. I don't like to just sit and talk at people for an hour. And so when we're on a virtual call, chat is the best way for me to get this interaction. So somebody tell me, what could success look like when it comes to implementing an AI tool? What does success look like?
I'll say I've used it for helping write grants. And so that has been really helpful. And then also to create calendars, um,
Yes,
like calendars of things that I need. So that has been helpful as well.
I love that. And so when you think about what was the first example you used?
Grant, a grant.
Grants. So
Mhm.
what does success look like when it comes to creating a grant?
Getting the grant.
Right? Easy, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Thanks for sharing.
But also scaling down the amount of time needed to
Yes,
actually apply. And that was helpful.
yes,
What I love about it is you can just add a bunch of documents, and then that can later you know, turn into the grant very easily.
absolutely. That's a great example. Thank you. Anyone else, how can we measure success as it comes to implementing AI? Yeah, I would think, like you said, time saved, building capacity up, getting a grant,
Mhm.
content, having content, all of that. Great.
Maybe being able to like efficiently and quickly survey some best practices on a particular issue,
Mhm.
identify some research. You have to fact
Yes,
check it, but research best practice, kind of a widening your perspective.
absolutely. And I'm glad you said that about fact checking. Chat GPT for specifically, I'm not sure about all the others, but that is not updated every day. So if something new comes out today, like if there's a news article, so you know how it works is it goes out to the internet and it goes and it finds things that are relevant. But if so, let's say a news article came out today, it would not be a part of the findings that you receive because it's not updated. I think it's updated once a year or every 6 months as far as the data. And so I think that's something that you want to be careful about too, is just making sure that what you're pulling is still current and accurate. There was an example with an attorney you all may have heard that was in national news that that there was an attorney who prepared a brief using Chat GPT and he didn't check it. And so got in trouble because it was very clear that this was not something that an attorney prepared. So that's great. And I'm gonna Kim has a comment here in the chat, which I think is amazing. I'll ask the sites to cite stats for me and show its work. And if it can't find the source, it apologizes to me. I love that. Yeah, show your work, show your sites, show me where this is coming from. Love that. Thank you. All right, let's get to the good part. Let's look at some tools. Again, these are low cost and free that you can be using for immediate implementation. So content creation tools, everyone's probably familiar with Chat GPT. I personally like Claude AI. I think that the voice, it kind of has more of a human relatable voice. Sometimes chat to me feels robotic. But there are, Grammarly Go, there's Buffer, which is a marketing tool, and then Canva, which we know is a creation tool. If you want to translate documents or even real time translation, there are a few tools. The two I have here are Otter AI and DeepL. So again, document translation or management translation for accessibility purposes. I will also say some of the tools that you are currently using also have AI capabilities. So, for example, I don't know if anyone uses Slack, but there's a way that you can put in Slack So I do DEI, we talk a lot about language. And so there are some words, this is a trigger warning. There are some words that people use like, oh, that's crazy, that's insane. Those are actually, we should not be using language like that anymore, from an accessibility and a disability perspective. And so what you can do in Slack is you can have it so that if someone writes a message and says, oh, that's crazy, then Slack will send a message and say, hey, I saw you wrote this word, but perhaps a better way to say it is this way. So there are tools that may not be specifically an AI tool, but they have AI pieces that you can be using there. If you want to analyze data, there are a few, obviously AI, and then Google Sheets. You've probably, if you've been in Google Sheets and you've pulled up a document, you may have seen, um, you may have seen something that's saying, hey, would you like us to analyze the data? Right? There's also like Google Gemini and all of those things. And so I'm starting to see a lot of that type of messaging pop up when I'm going into my different uh, tools that I'm using. And so, yeah, WhatsApp has that. And then Zoom AI. Absolutely. What I've been doing now is I've been hitting Zoom AI. And after my meeting, it analyzes everything for me. It summarizes. It has at the end, like, here are the to do. It makes it so easy. So easy. I've also, because I'm old school, a lot of times I like to take handwritten notes. This was from meeting I was at. I like to take handwritten notes. Well, you can take pictures of your handwritten notes and upload them to to AI, and it will type it out for you and then summarize and do all of those things as well. So just imagine the amount of time that you can be saving by doing these things. Oh, that's a good question, Debbie. Is there anything that will summarize meeting minutes from a voice recording? I need to look at that. I've not tried that, but let me look. We're gonna send the well, I guess I shouldn't ask. Together as C folks, are we okay sending this out to attendees, this presentation? I think we will, but I'll follow up with a response to that, Debbie. Minutes from voice recording. Okay, thank you. I'll be sure to follow up with you on that. All right. What about donor management solutions? So, segmenting donors, predicting retention, um, advocacy, right? All of these things. There are a list of tools that you can be using for that. Now, if you want, there's some more data analysis and decision support. So obviously AI, it gives you its predictive analytics and it's specifically for nonprofits. We talked about Google Sheets. ClickUp, if this is a like a CRM system, but it can help. They have workflows in there. So if you have someone come into your system, it goes through the workflow. So that's through AI. Let's say that it's time for you to upgrade your website. Here are some sites for that. Or content. Chatbot.com offers free platform for nonprofits. Now, I'm going to tell you all a secret as well. I'm going to save it to the end. If I forget, somebody remind me. I have a secret for you all at the end. All right, let's look at administration and operations. Notion AI, it lets you collaborate with your team so that you can develop documents efficiently. Otter AI. So this the question about from voice recording, I'm thinking Otter AI does that, but I want to be sure and confirm that for you. You can even create custom music for events and presentations if that's something that you all want to do. Before we get to the ethical considerations, are there any tools that you all are using that perhaps I did not go over? So thank you, Leah. You can upload an audio file to OneNote and it will do that for you. Any other tools, feel free to put it in the chat that perhaps I didn't review that you use and find helpful. I'll tell you one that I didn't put on here that I should have, and I'll put it in the chat. It's called Descript. Descript, and that is what I use for podcasting. So I record my podcast and then I put it into Descript. You can also do videos in there, and I can edit it. So there's a button I can push if I have too many filler words. I push a button, it removes the filler words in less than a minute. I love that app. Yep, Karen has Read AI. Absolutely. Here's what you can also do. You can also go into your favorite, into chat or Claude, and you can say, here are the things that I am responsible for in my role. What are some AI tools that I can be using to, to be more efficient, to save time, whatever your goal is? And it will spit those back out to you. Let's try that. Let's actually try that live. Somebody tell me in the chat. I know I keep asking y'all to talk to me. Um, what are the things that you're responsible for in your role or just one project? This is a quiet group. It's okay. I can be patient. Okay, revising SOPs. Great one. Thank you, Leah. What AI tools can I use to do this quicker? All right, I'm going to put in the chat what my question was and then what the answer was. And again, I'm using Claude because that's my favorite one. So here's the question. I am responsible for revising SOPs. What AI tools can I use to do this quicker? It is searching. So while it's looking, we have people have heard about Gamma. They've heard about Perplexity. I haven't heard about either of those, but great suggestions. Goodness, this thing, when y'all see what this thing has added, give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm going to put in here, this is what it told me. Oh, it's not letting me do that. Hold on. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to share. All right, can you all see this? I cannot see you, so if somebody can just give me a verbal yes.
Yes, we got it.
Thank you so much. All right, so I put this in, right? I'm happy to help you explore AI tools. So then here, it gave me some websites or some things to look at, right? 5 best. But now it's saying, now I'm going to gather some more specific AI tools. Based on my research, here are the tools. So look, Scribe, ClickUp, Wayback, Document 360 for creating and revising, for editing and improving. And then it gave me benefits of using this. So, this might be great. Like, let's say that you were going to your boss and saying, hey, do we have money in the budget for us to purchase this tool? Then you already have kind of your business case right here. Then it gave us some more about selecting the right tool. Like I said, y'all, I use AI every day. Um, and it could just be, for a question or for creating something. Debbie, would you mind? Oh, do you use Perplexity? What is it for?
I put in a paragraph of something that I had written and asked it to rewrite it,
Ooh.
and it did a good job.
I love that. Are you asking it to like rewrite it in a particular voice or?
I didn't.
Okay.
I just used it that one time for that. And
Okay. I like that. Okay. Perplexity. We'll add that to the list and Gamma. I've also heard, had people who like when they're applying for jobs or a promotion, they'll put the job description into the AI, and then they'll put in their resume and say, help me update my resume for this role, or help me create a cover letter for this role. Um, there's so many ways. I mean, you know, we could have a 12-week class on how to use AI. There's so many ways we can use it, right? So let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about ethical considerations because we want to make sure that we are still being ethical and we're still working towards our mission as we're using AI. So as we think about data privacy and protections, making sure that any tool, AI tool you use complies with any privacy law that you may have to follow, that there are clear consent processes for data collection, that you're collecting only what's necessary. So this is something interesting that I learned is that AI has a carbon footprint because there are hard drives that are processing all of this information. And so they're using energy. And so we want to make sure that we're also being environmentally conscious as we are using AI, that we're not just using it frivolously, so that we're reducing the carbon footprint. Bias awareness. So I said earlier, you get out what you put in. And yes, thank you, Ben. A whole lot of water and power in keeping those computers cool. Absolutely. You get out what you put in. So you may get something from an AI that feels biased to you, and it may be. And that's because the people who are programming AI, they program it with their bias, right? That they may or may not even know they have. And so when you're using AI, you want to make sure that you're regularly testing the systems and the outcomes, with a diverse set of, whether your staff or your communities, just to make sure that what AI is showing you is not disadvantaging certain groups, making sure that AI works equally well across different populations. I tell this story about, in the bathrooms now, you have the automatic water and the automatic soap and the automatic dry, right? Well, they're getting better, but when those types of technology first came out, they didn't really do a good job at recognizing darker skin. And so, I mean, even now, sometimes I have to put my hand under the water thing 5 times before it recognizes me. And that is because, right, that bias that goes in at the beginning of at the programming process. And again, it didn't have to be something that was um I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time finding words today. It doesn't have to be something that is like evil and ha ha ha, but what if there were only all white people that were designing this? Well, then they wouldn't have known to test for darker skin, right? So just awareness of the bias that can be present. You want to be open and transparent about how you're using AI, especially, maybe in donor communications. I have a
My
link here.
go-to daily driver.
Oh, I'm okay. Thanks. I'm going to put a link in there, in the chat as well. Yeah, Ben, garbage in, garbage out. But you want to, disclose when you can. You can help your stakeholders understand how and when AI is being used. I've even even on social media now, there's a button that it's like, did you use AI to create this content? Say yes or no. So just making sure that you're, being open. And listen, what you may even want to do is create an AI policy for your organization that talks about this is how it's used, this is how we disclose it, this is how we're maintaining records so that everyone has the same understanding of how you should be using AI. When we talk about human oversight, right, we want to talk about, we're looking at the human in the loop approach. So AI adoption, it has to be human centered with staff understanding about what it does and being thoughtful. So again, the policy can help with that, right? It has to be human centered. You always want to make sure that humans are reviewing AI generated content before it's publicized. You want to make sure that you have clear designation of who's responsible, like who owns which AI system, and how and when do you override recommendations from AI. So again, AI is not an excuse for us to just be out of it, out of the loop. It helps us, again, it helps us with that foundation. It helps us be efficient. It helps us save time, but we still have to be a part of that system. And then the digital divide. AI tools don't, make sure that the AI tools you're using aren't creating new barriers for communities with limited tech access. Make sure that you always have non-digital options for engagement for people that are, that can't use computers or tech. Again, this is great. Regularly evaluate if AI is widening or narrowing the gaps that you are working to narrow. And just a note here, your mission values should guide your AI implementation. So, what this is talking about is how do you build these capacities when you have limited resources? So I'm the type of person where I'm going to go research 15 apps and I'm going to go download them all. No, don't do that. You start with 1 to 2 specific use cases. Remember, we talked about you start with the problem. So what are the problems that we're trying to solve? How do we maybe 1 or 2 use cases to see how it works? Are there any volunteers on your board or that work with your organization that have technical backgrounds that can be helping with some of this? There are technology capacity building grants. So if you don't have the resources and the funding, there is money out there so that you can get AI and learn AI. And, I think it's a great idea to have one person on the team that's really kind of like that AI champion that leads these efforts. So let's take a look at some case studies of how other nonprofits have used AI. And so I have a small, a medium, and a large example here. So let's start with the small. This is a food justice organization, and they were challenged because they didn't have enough capacity to be able to process and analyze the feedback they got from the community. So we talked about this earlier. They used AI to analyze 500 plus responses. And they used the free tier. So you can do this in ChatGPT or Claude. From that, they were able to identify 3 previously unknown community priorities that helped them reshape their focus. So it gave them data that they didn't previously have. And it didn't take them a month to go through that data. And they were able to do this with no money. So the lesson here is AI can unlock insights from existing data you already have. Let's look at a mid-size environmental advocacy group that has 15 employees. So their challenge is that they were spending over 15 hours a week monitoring policy changes across multiple states, which I can't even imagine. That is a lot. So what they did is they implemented an AI tool that will scan and let them know of any relevant policy changes. They had a consultant that helped them with that. And it was a custom model, right, on and any keywords that they gave. But look at this. They reduced monitoring time by 80%. And they caught 3 changes that could have been missed. Now, this is this is a cost, right? A $3,500 one-time setup and then a $100 a month subscription. But that $100 a month does no way at all add up to that 80% time they're saving. So when you're thinking about budget, you want to look at what's the ROI? Is it staff time saved? Is it money saved? What's the ROI what's the business case for the AI? And then let's look at a large nonprofit that's a health education organization that has over 50 employees. And they were challenged with creating culturally relevant health materials for diverse populations. So what they did was they had an AI-powered content adaptation system, and it localized those materials for different communities. So they did this in a phased approach. They started with 2 languages, expanded to 12, and they saw a 60% increase in resource engagement, a 35% improvement in health knowledge retention. I mean, my goodness. Now, this was a $25,000 initial investment, but it saved them $40,000 in translation costs. So actually, they gained money by using AI. And the lesson here is don't be afraid to start with pilot programs to demonstrate value. So they started with those 2 languages, they saw the results they were getting, and then expanded in another phase. Great, great stories and great outcomes. So we talked some about this, right? But start with clearly defined problems. You're not starting with the technology, you're starting with the problem. Begin with a process that already has a clear workflow. So you're not trying to figure out workflow and the AI at the same time. When it comes to being inclusive, involve the people. Make sure that the people who are actually using the tools are at the table when you're selecting them. Think about what success looks like, because it'll look different. And remember, you want to budget not just for the tools, but you may need training. Now, I will say most of the AI tools that I use and that I have seen, they have online training modules. But if you need to bring someone in to do that, that's something you want to think about. Make sure you're documenting everything just like we would, and sharing our learnings with one another. So what I want us to do, and this is really, an introduction to AI, but what I want us to do is I want us to actually plan action. When I do presentations, I typically want people to walk away knowing what their next step is. So I'm going to give you all a few minutes. I'm going to put on some music and I'm going to give you all a few minutes. Complete this template. What's an organizational challenge that AI might help with? What's the first tool or approach you would explore? Do you already have a team member in mind who could lead this? And how would you track success? And then once you have all of that, what's this first step that you can take tomorrow? We're not wasting any time here, y'all. So I'm going to give you a few moments and then I'm going to see if a few people are willing to share. So I'll ask for some volunteers, but I'm going to give you all a few moments. I'm going to put on some music and we can get to planning. I'll give y'all about another 30 seconds and then we'll do some sharing. All right. So hopefully that was enough time. If not, I hope that you do complete the exercise. But does anyone want to share? Maybe one or two people want to share?
Since everyone's so quiet, I'll go first.
Okay.
I said one of the things that we would definitely love to um, start thinking about is how we measure individual program successes at Together SC.
Mm.
And so from like sort of a data perspective, so I was thinking about having us try obviously AI. I mean, we have played with Google Sheets before, but I would like to try sort of a new tool and see what it's capable of. And I would probably put Brooke, our resident Canva expert already, as the team member that would lead that exploration. And then one metric I think would be, again, to show the impact, be able to get data around one particular program that we're doing right now, like we're doing a lot with Volunteer SC, and use obviously AI to do that. And then if that works and that's good, then we could roll that out and sort of look at other programs and see how we would measure some of those successes. So I said the first step to take would be to discuss this at our next staff meeting and see what it might cost to purchase or try, obviously, AI as a new tool.
Perfect. I love that. Thank you for going first, Karen. Um, y'all, let's give it up. Thank you, Karen, for going first. All right, maybe one other person want to volunteer? And you can do it in the chat if you don't want to unmute.
I'll go, another
Okay.
Karen, um, Spartanburg County Foundation. I'm interested in preparing impact for reports. We are a community foundation, so we have fund holders. And I have read a little bit about Gamma, how we could put like a fund statement into it and it would spit out a wonderful impact report that we have to do manually now for doing it. But I'm concerned about data security. So I want a system that I know that this donor information will not, that it will be kept confidential and will not be exposed in any sort of way. So I don't know if anyone else has considered doing this or has any guidance along that. But the research that I would take would be digging deeper into Gamma and asking those questions as to what happens to the data when you put it in there. Very
Yep.
important question. So that's an idea that we're looking into.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Y'all give it up for the other Karen. Thank you for sharing. I thought I had a Q&A slide in here, but I did not. So we'll leave it here. We have a few moments for questions, and then I have a secret to tell you. So my secret is that I created this presentation fully using AI. I put into AI what the topic was, who the audience was, and how long the presentation was. And it gave me the outline of the presentation. And then sometimes I have to go and ask for details. So I got all of the content, and then I used an extension. And let me tell y'all what this extension is called. I use an extension to actually create the presentation in Google Slides. Now, was it perfect? No, but it saved me so much time. I did like have to go back and edit a little bit, but it saved me so much time. So, okay, hold on. So to build the slides, and this is Google Slide, they said that they are working on being able to integrate this with PowerPoint, but it's called slidesai.io. Slidesai.io. I put it in the chat. So that's my secret. I built this whole thing using AI. Awesome. You're welcome. So any questions in our last few moments?
No questions, just thank you so much, Beth. Really broke it down to make it a lot more accessible and feeling like it's not overwhelming and scary, and we could just try one thing and
Yeah.
get going. I mean, we've been doing a lot of experimenting, but also really like your suggestion. I know we're getting ready to update our policy manuals, and so having a section in there on AI policy makes a ton of sense and have a
Yes.
mission
Absolutely.
and values. So thank you for that. Really good.
And you know what, Karen, I
Good question.
think if you all, oh, I'm sorry. I just want to say, Karen, I think if you all come up with something good, then maybe that's something to share with
Mhm.
members that
Right,
they can
right. So
implement.
other people can draft
Yeah.
off of that. Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely.
I
Awesome.
just have a quick question.
Yes.
Um, I found the Otter app that actually allows you to do a voice recording and it writes the minutes. But it wants access to my calendar, and that's on a secure network. Has anyone used that and allowed it to access your email account?
Or let me ask you this, Debbie, does it give you the option to upload a recording? And I
I
can
haven't
look
seen
into,
that yet.
okay,
I
I
just
can look
downloaded
into
it, so
that
I'm not
too,
sure.
because it would that be an option for you? Like if you could like record the Zoom and then upload that, would that be an
Yeah.
option? Okay.
Well, it's
I'll
in-person meetings. That's what
oh,
takes so long, because people get off track and
yeah.
it ends up being a long, drawn-out process. And so it'd be great if I could just set the recorder down and let it type out the minutes and that kind of thing. But
So T has mentioned that they've used the upload. So T Joseph, T,
Yeah,
can you come up? Okay,
you
thanks.
can take the copy of your the link to the actual meeting and add it to the Otter AI so it doesn't link to your calendar, but it links to the actual meeting that you're going into. Does that make sense? So
um,
the
no,
link
not really.
Okay, so if you have an account in Otter AI, if you have a the link that you usually click on to go into the meeting, that link you can add to the Otter AI. So if you add the link versus add your calendar, then you can
Yeah,
add
but
it.
this is in person, so there's no link.
So then it goes back to somebody said something about recording, like record your voice and creating the notes from the voice recording. So that would be speech to text, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can write out the notes, or you can record the notes, and you can also record and drop that into Chat GPT or any of the other ones, and they will also do the same thing.
Okay, it says that you can import audio or video for transcription.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that yet, so.
You would record the meeting, and then you would save the meeting as a document, and then you would upload the document to the AI. So if you recorded it on your phone, then you could take that recording and download it into your AI, whatever AI program you were using.
Okay.
If you can also record on the computer, you can let the computer record in the background, save that, and then add that to your notes as well. There's so many different ways to do it, and they try to make it so that there is availability depending on what way you have available to use. Because a lot of work computers are they have a lot of, what's the word, like clearance. I can't
Yeah,
think of the
yeah,
word.
the security measures on there. And
Right,
Debbie, I would
diversity.
also, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, T. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you were good. I was just saying that was my neurodiversity. Sometimes I can't think of the names in my fiber, so I do apologize for that. But yeah, the security.
Same. Same. Thank you. I was just going to say, and Debbie, you should be able to, they should have some help once you if you go to Otter online, they should have some help videos and tutorials to help walk you through that as well.
Okay.
Great question. I know we're past time, so I just wanted to turn it back over to the Together SC team to close us out. Thank you all for attending, for showing up, for your engagement. I appreciate this was a good session.
Yeah, it was a really good session. Thank you. I don't know why everybody's so quiet. I know this gang. We're not that quiet. But anyway, we were today, and we really appreciate you, Beth, and really learned a lot and lots of great little tips. And my encouragement would be to go out and do what Beth said. Start small, but play. Don't be afraid. Experiment a little bit, and surprise yourself about what you might be able to do. I know we all need to save time right now and save money and be efficient. So hopefully this is really helpful, and you don't have to spend a fortune on a lot of tools. So thank you. Have an awesome day, everybody.
Thank you.